Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Hanrahan, broadcasting live from the KREM 2 studios tonight. Meantime, my colleague Whitney Ward broadcasting live from her home up in North Spokane. Good evening, Whitney.
Good evening, Mark. Yeah, we begin tonight with some late developing news. Governor Jay Inslee is extending the state's moratorium on evictions. So we now know that moratorium will stay in place at least until August 1st. Some modifications now include establishing a defense in any lawsuit for tenants if a landlord fails to offer a reasonable repayment plan. Landlords are also now prohibited from retaliating against any tenant who calls on the moratorium's protection. And renters can, however, still be evicted based on property damage or on other conditions that were known prior to this coronavirus pandemic. In other top headlines tonight, of course, it has been a week marked by intense protests, sometimes violent, and a lot of destruction both here at home and in other places as well. Some parents have been questioning how best to talk to their kids about what they may be seeing on the news or on social media. So KREM 2's Shayna Waltower joins us now live from Riverfront Park, where there is a special event dedicated specifically to children right now. Shayna?
Yep, that's exactly right, Whitney. Kids are out here right now. This event is mainly designed to give these kids a voice, to talk to adults, parents that are in the area, just to express how they're feeling right now and ways that they can deal with some of those emotions that they're having right now. Right behind me, you can see some of that event that's going on right now. They've got music going on and people are starting to show up and arrive. All of this started around 3 as they started setting up and putting on music and getting all things prepared and ready to go. Again, this event is all to give children, teens, and young adults a positive influence and a way to express their feelings during a challenging time for so many.
We're going to listen to them and we're going to love on them and we're going to clap for them. And if they want to go viral from being doing great dances or whatever challenge they want to do, they can go famous from that, but not from tearing up the city. We're not doing that.
Now, Katara Johnson is the organizer for this event, and she says they plan to be out here for a few hours or however long they need to reach out to those who come. We've seen some kids out here, they're giving each other hugs, supporting each other, giving some positive statements out here right now. But again, they are still practicing social distancing. A lot of them out here wearing masks and keeping their 6 feet apart. It's just meant to be a really positive event for the community and the children who are in it. Reporting out here at Riverfront Park, I am Shayna Waltower, and I'll send things back to you guys.
It's a really important thing that sometimes we forget, the littlest voices for sure. And last night we know there were 2 additional protests over the death of George Floyd in Coeur d'Alene, but it turns out police didn't receive a single report of violence or damage during either of those gatherings. So KREM 2's Amanda Rowley was out there last night, and she is out there again today to talk about the police response there in Coeur d'Alene last night. Amanda?
Yeah, Whitney, well, today I do want to point out there are some Black Lives Matter protesters back here on Sherman Avenue in downtown Coeur d'Alene again today. If you see across the street behind them, there are some downtown Coeur d'Alene businesses that are still boarded up from last night's protest. Thankfully, though, the crowds remained calm and no damage was done here, something Coeur d'Alene Police Department is proud to report considering the mixed group and opinions that were here.
You can't breathe, I can't breathe. All lives matter. All lives matter.
The demonstration started near Winco yesterday afternoon in Coeur d'Alene. It remained peaceful for hours until the crowds cleared. Each side of the street had a different mission, a Black Lives Matter demonstration and people who wanted to protect downtown. But they all shared the same goal. No damage to the city of Coeur d'Alene and no violence.
Thank you for coming. I won't lie, till Big Tony showed up here.
It was refreshing to see that people with various perspectives on an issue could actually come together. We had no reports of violence, we had no reports of damage, and even though people had different perspectives, they supported each other.
This was also the case downtown. But here, armed citizens greatly outnumbered the roughly 30 protesters who meandered down Sherman Avenue.
I know there were some people shocked by the amount of firearms we had downtown last night. We had no incidents with that, and that's one of the protected rights that our citizens have.
Captain Hagar says police also received no credible threats of rioting or violence relating to last night's protests. What concerned police, though, were unconfirmed rumors and misinformation that spread from these gatherings.
There was a lot of information yesterday that led to some fear and some misunderstandings that never took place.
Even though police did get reports of possibly staged bricks, Captain Hagar says that was not the case. In one spot, bricks were being used to repair a fence, and another for nearby construction.
Now, Captain Hagar says police have talked to organizers about another potential event on either Thursday or Friday this week, and he says they are hoping everyone maintains the same standards as last night with no violence and no conflicts. Reporting in downtown Coeur d'Alene, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
All right, Amanda, thank you very much. And for the latest on these George Floyd protests, both here across the Inland Northwest, as well as in other places around the country, you can just text us the word protest. All you have to do is text that word to 509-448-2000. All right, in other top headlines today, the president is threatening to deploy active troops to states that are still having violent protests. So we want to know, what do you think? Is that a good idea? We definitely want you to participate in our live poll right now. In the meantime, though, we want to send things over to Regina On, who is live with the latest now in the KREM 2 newsroom. Regina?
Well, Whitney, President Trump says he will use widespread military action to control protests over the alleged police murder of George Floyd. Demonstrations continued peacefully in dozens of cities across the country yesterday, but some of them turned violent after dark. In Washington, D.C., peaceful protesters outside the White House were tear-gassed and pushed away to allow President Trump to have a photo opportunity. The president stood outside a landmark church damaged during the protest after he demanded a crackdown nationwide. He told governors to use the National Guard to dominate demonstrators, saying if they don't, he will do it himself.
Today, I have strongly recommended to every governor to deploy the National Guard in sufficient numbers that we dominate the streets. If a city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residents, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them.
City and state leaders across the country have called the threat unconstitutional. There are actually laws preventing the president from using military force on citizens, like martial law. There's also the Civil War Posse Comitatus Act. It prohibits military from acting as law enforcement. They can't make arrests, search people, or seize property. However, there is a loophole. In extreme cases, the president can invoke the Insurrection Act. This would allow the president the use of active duty military or the National Guard to act as additional law enforcement. The president can use this Insurrection Act with or without a governor's request. And you probably remember the last time the president took this action. The Insurrection Act was used most recently during the Rodney King riots in LA in 1992. At the time, protests erupted after charges were dropped against 4 officers who brutally attacked an unarmed black man named Rodney King. The governor at the time requested military assistance from the president. George H.W. Bush used that Insurrection Act to send some additional help. And almost 3 decades later, the president is interested in taking similar action. And we asked you earlier to weigh in if you agree with the president that troops should be deployed to states with violent protests. And the majority of you seem to say yes right now. About 39% of you say no. So thank you so much for voting. But for now, Regina, on Live in the Newsroom. Whitney, back to you.
All right, Regina, thank you very much. In the meantime, another big story that we are tracking at this hour, results of Idaho's primary elections starting to come in tonight. Mark?
Exactly right, Winnie. The state used a mail-in system today because of the coronavirus pandemic. Our Taylor Vito is standing by at the Kootenai County Elections Office tonight with a preview of what we can expect tonight. Taylor?
Well, yeah, guys, there's never been an election quite like this. The county clerk previously called this uncharted territory. That, of course, due to all absentee ballots. And guys, here in Coeur d'Alene at the elections office, it has been busy since we've been here for the last couple hours. Of course, now people getting off work, coming by, dropping off those ballots. And this parking lot, I mean, as you can see here, yeah, it's full. Now, we do have some video to show you that we shot just about half an hour ago. Staff are busy counting those ballots. The county clerk told us that turnout for this primary has been a little bit higher than other elections. There are, of course, some big local races, including county commissioner positions and Kootenai County Sheriff, but it's all being done through mail-in ballots. There are no traditional polling places today. You see, Idaho opted to do that in the wake of coronavirus. The primary was originally slated for May 19th, but that became the last day to register to vote. And tonight at 8 p.m. became the deadline for ballots to be returned. all the absentee ballots, all of those absentee ballots, excuse me, is made for extra work for the elections office here in Coeur d'Alene. They have about 10 extra employees helping out tonight, and the county clerk said although this primary has been a little different, it's still a thrilling night.
Elections are always exciting. It's like fourth quarter in a football game, the last 2 minutes of a basketball game. It's always exciting.
They're expecting roughly 32,000 to 33,000 ballots to come back altogether. We, of course, hope to start getting results at 8 p.m. out of southern Idaho. And again, 8 p.m. is the deadline for local ballots to be turned in here at the county elections office for the county clerk to have those in their possession. For now, reporting live in Coeur d'Alene, Taylor Vito, KREM 2 News.
Taylor, thank you very much. We'll, of course, have updates later on KREM 2 News at 10 and 11 o'clock tonight. In the meantime, we'll take a turn and talk about the weather because today, Tom, kind of a good day weather-wise all around.
Yeah, what we ended up with was sunshine in the morning, which we talked about, and then increase in clouds. So now we're enjoying mostly cloudy skies, but my gosh, it certainly is comfortable. We're at 70 degrees. We got a bit of a breeze, though, out of the southwest, south-southwest, 15 miles per hour. Still chilly overnight with a low of 47 degrees. Sunny and seasonal expected tomorrow and a high of 73. For the weekend, we have showers, 66 on Saturday, 62 on Sunday. I'll check your 7-day outlook coming up in about 10 minutes.
Looking forward to that, Tom. Thank you very much. The class of 2020 has not held its traditional senior year, and it's been a semester that's felt like a roller coaster. We do want to acknowledge the work that all those seniors are putting in, though. So KREM 2's Brandon Jones highlights 2 seniors who will soon be serving our nation.
Enya LaFrance and Gabe Goodwin are seniors at Shadle Park High School in Mountain Spokane.
We're both going to the same place for basic training. He's just going a little bit after me. So it's really nice just having someone that I can connect with and like talk to if I need to while I'm there.
The two have been side by side throughout school closures to help one another finish. Now, after they graduate, they'll head off to Missouri to start their next chapter in the United States Army.
It's definitely wild. Not what I expected, but we're making the best of it.
Normal traditions like prom had to be improvised for the two. Instead of a ballroom, they got dressed up for pictures at Riverfront Park, ordered food, and spent the night just hanging out with each other.
It was actually, I feel like it was better than a regular prom.
Outside of the few online courses they had to complete for their diploma, the two have been keeping busy with regular teenage activities, video games, working out, and preparing for their future careers in the Army.
We're doing something called CBNR, or Chemical, Biological, Radiological, and Nuclear Specialist.
Perhaps the biggest step they've taken is getting engaged. The two are young, but Gabe went to Enya's father to ask for his daughter's hand in marriage and received his blessings to propose. Now they'll enter into this new journey of their life together, and it's a moment they've been anticipating.
Oh, I really am ready, and I'm excited for it because it's going to be different, but when I get to basic training, I'm going to meet so many new people, and it's going to be a great experience.
From Spokane, Brandon Jones, KREM 2 News.